Hello, you are watching my YouTube channel. I'm your host, Kamran. So today I've invited a guest in this vlog, and I'm going to discuss her life, her visions, her goals, and most importantly, her field. Hello and welcome. We are delighted to have Gulbano Usman here today. Miss Gulbano, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Kamran, for inviting
Okay,
me for
but
this.
before to start the scenery properly, ma'am, could you please tell us what inspired you to pursue a career as an English language instructor and perhaps share a bit about your journey leading up to your current role?
Well, the biggest inspiration comes from within. And since I was in my early days, in my, let's say, teenage days, I used to struggle with speaking in English language. And yes, my dad was always by my side and he was guiding me. But then I realized that I have a dad who can guide me through lots of things. And then I thought of the people who do not have too many resources or too many people available for them to guide. So that was that point of time I decided to pursue a field where I can benefit other people from my talent.
All right. And how long have you been doing this, and how's your experience so far?
Well, it's been many years. Yeah, I just started, I guess, 9 years back when I started off as an English teacher, and then I further worked on my professional grooming, and then, of course, the trainings and the skills I underwent, and today
Oh,
here I am.
all right. How many students have you trained so far? If you tell
Wow.
me the roughly estimate that.
Don't know the number because it has been a lot of people that I have been teaching. Well, my students are majority like they are professionals, sometimes they are teenage people, sometimes they are learners who are very early age. So I don't think I can remember the number so far.
Hmm. That's great, ma'am. Okay, what do you consider to be the most essential components of effective communication skills, and how can individuals improve them?
Well, since we see effective communication skills are crucial for personal and professional success, nowadays it's very much important for a person to have these skills. So, what I think is like clarity in your communication is very important, along with conciseness. And when I say clarity and conciseness, of course, it's a give and take. So you need to be an active listener as well in order to be a good speaker. Then you need to listen to the other person. And then empathy, of course. And moreover, sometimes it's not always about speaking. You know, non-verbal communication, one must have that ability also. And above all, your English language proficiency plays a vital role in your effective communication.
Ma'am, actually, I want to know that what is communication skill? When I hear this word that communication skill, you have to improve your communication skills. So, what tools and what things we include in that, like body language skills, pronunciation, and voice of tone, right? What is actually communication skills? Confidence. How do you see that?
Well, I think communication is something like it's just how well you convey your meaning to the other person. Now that again, like I told you, sometimes it's a verbal communication, sometimes it's a non-verbal communication. So both go hand in hand. But the purpose is that how well you convey your idea or your thought to the other person.
Okay, all right. Is body language matters in communication skills?
Sometimes, of course, when you're, it depends on the environment that you're working in. For example, if it's a corporate environment, then of course you cannot use a normal language. You need to go for the business English. And if you're in academic environment, again, you need to have the quality of adaptability to the environment, and then you communicate with your people around.
Ms. Gulbano, what is actually English language skills? I'm talking about the accent. Accent should be prominent. The fluency should be great, or the thing is the vocabulary we need to know. So, what should we do in English language? If I want to improve my English language skills, so how can I do that?
Well, when you talk about English language proficiency in terms of speaking, So I would say that accent really is not a big thing to deal with. We admit that we are non-native speakers, so by default we won't be having that natural accent like they do. But yes, what we can do is, as I mentioned earlier, that clarity and conciseness is way important while you are communicating. So that is something important. You need to keep in mind the words, the choices of words that you're going to make while you are communicating with the other person. Like, for example, I'm talking to you, so you must get to know what I want to convey. That is the core essence of communication. And then how effective it is in terms of how much compelling you are with your ideas to the other person. That's more important. And of course, by the passage of time, when we talk to people of different accents, we tend to adapt to their accents after a certain point of time.
If someone wants to improve his English language skills, it is necessary that he should be reading a newspaper on a regular basis. He should be a good listener. He needs to be a good listener, or any other thing you think that a person should improve that, a person should follow that.
For good reading, as you said, I'm
Yeah,
sorry, just okay.
for fluency.
So for fluency,
Yeah.
again, fluency comes with the passage of time when you develop your habit of speaking to another person. So fluency is always for speaking. When you want to be a fluent speaker, try to practice it with your peers, your buddies, engage in active listening. And then one key component, I believe, to improve our own self is your
Mhm.
self reflection. And then seek feedback. Like if you're talking to somebody, seek feedback. If you're having a conversation activity or a speaking activity with the other person, I would say here the feedback plays a vital.
Mhm.
So again, I would say that for fluency, we need to be like having a pair partner with whom you can practice your day-to-day conversations. And upon, yes, the feedback matters a lot. And other things nowadays, I was just going through scrolling through the Google, and I got to know a Duolingo app. There are certain apps who helps you speak in with fluency, and the best part is that they help you learn many different languages. So I must say that we are in a digital era, so we must follow the things that are happening all around us.
All right. And then can you discuss the role of non-verbal communication in effective interpersonal communication? And how can individuals become more aware of their non-verbal cues?
If we talk about non-verbal communication, so that's very much important. You know, in your corporate environment, most probably your body language speaks more than what you speak, because that's the first thing that goes to the other person. So whenever you walk into a room, your body language, your gestures, they play a vital role. Like sometimes, you know, we say that you meet a person and you say, seems it's very hard to talk to this person. It seems that this person is going to give us a really tough time. So these
Mhm.
are again your non-verbal communications, and most of the time, that sometimes that it happens with me at my workplace when I'm done too much with talking and giving lectures and speaking. What do I do if somebody asks me something? So normally I just give a nod or something like that. So now these are non-verbal communications where
Mhm.
you're conveying your willingness or non-willingness to the other person. So again, I say it depends on the context, it depends on a situation, and it goes hand in hand.
All right. And what are the some common challenges people face in expressing themselves clearly in English? And how can these challenges to be overcome?
Many challenges, like being a trainer myself, what my people always tell me is that we have too many ideas, but it's really difficult to process those ideas into English language. So which is why I always tell them that one key thing that we follow is that we listen in our native language and we try to translate it into the other language. So why do too much effort? I think why not to listen to somebody who speaks in the same language and then just follow what he speaks. So I think that can bridge the gap. So for me, I think it's important to listen to people. Again, I said it's a collective activity. If you want to practice your speaking skills, You need to be an active listener. You need to follow a time schedule for it. And then do conversational practices with native speakers. We can go for reading for certain classes, sessions. I think in Pakistan, many people are offering these kind of short courses. So I think one should avail them. But in case, having said that, yes, of course, everybody does not have the same routine that they can go somewhere. So, like I told you earlier, that there are certain apps and there are programs where you can learn from home also. So, I think one must focus on that too.
That's great. And what is your experience so far? How can a person, how much time will he take to be proficient in English? I'm talking about your
Well,
student.
my students, well, I'm blessed that I have some blessed good students also, and I have some very good students also. But yes, if I talk about the good students, the best thing is that I have learned from them a lot. While teaching them to be fluent in language, it's a learning on both sides. So I always take them as my good students, and of course, then there are some very good students whom you do not put in too much effort into, but they actually help you to lead through the lesson plans and activities. So yes, it's not a smooth road. You can't go. The road is always bumpy. You have to look forward. Where is the bump? And then you have to keep yourself safe. But then again, at the end of the day, it's part of learning, and this is what we are here for. But I always say that not to give up learning if you come across a hurdle, which many people in here have been observing that they do it, they lose heart. Oh, we can't speak in English. I think this is something really absurd and we cannot overcome this. Whereas I believe it's just a language,
Mm,
like other languages. And of course, if you do not, if you're unable to speak in your own native language, that's something you need to think about. Being your native person, you do not know your own national language. But when you are being ashamed of not able to speak a secondary language, I really wonder why people get so confused about that. Personally, I don't think it's a bad thing. You do not know another language.
Actually, it is just a medium to communicate with people. We don't take it like that. We think that English, definitely English has very big influence in our society, in our life right now. But we actually take it in a wrong way. We don't think that it is just a medium to communicate. It is just a medium to convey our message to other people that what we want and what we all want to say, right? So, how can we overcome on these challenges in our society? We are suffering with that.
Well, first of all, I would say that it's not that when you reach to because there are some extrinsic factors, sometimes there are intrinsic factors that lead a candidate to learn a certain language. So, if I talk about myself, so I had a passion to master this language. Well, that was my intrinsic force that made me to do this. However, there are some external factors, for example, job pressure, then your academic pressure, then your family, status quo, things like that. So, in order to overcome these things, I would say that at an early age, when a child is school going, first of all, look for a good institution. Let's say, with due respect to all the institutions, sometimes you're not satisfied. So I would say, why not, when you have those summer camp time, why don't you put your child to learn some kind of language during that
Mm,
time? So here I think parents and the guidance and the tutors and the teachers can take a lead in teaching a language to their students in that specific time. So by the time you reach your professional age, you are confident enough to communicate. You do not need motivation, or you do not need something spoon fed to speak and communicate your ideas.
mm. All right. Uh, could you please tell us how important is proficiency in the English language for career advancement? And what strategies do you recommend enhancing English language skills? Is there any strategies?
Sorry, could you repeat?
Let me repeat that question to you. How important is proficiency in English language for career advancement? And what strategies do you recommend for enhancing English language skills?
Well, yes, this is something really important because
Yeah.
if you're not proficient at a certain level, see, like we discussed, that it is a global communication language. So one must be proficient. When I talk about proficient level, it means that the person should be an independent user in terms of writing, in terms of speaking, reading, comprehending. All skills come under this
Hmm.
one golden rule. But then I say, if you want to improve your proficiency, again, I would say read good material, because the more you read, the better you are accustomed, and you become familiar with new things, with new words. So there are many things reading helps you with. And of course, when you are practicing writing, then it becomes a staunch, and it remains in your memory for a longer time.
Hmm.
The proficiency is very important.
Hmm. Okay, let's move on. Ma'am, in what ways do cultural differences affect communication, particularly in a globalized workplace, and how can individuals navigate these differences effectively?
Well, cultural differences, yes, definitely, they have a very significant impact on communication in a globalized workplace, especially when you're working in a place where there are multiple cultures, people from different groups are working together. I think the best way is to learn about different cultures. Again, we need to practice empathy and active listening. That's the only way you can help improve to learn about different cultures. And then, like I said, adapting communication styles, because sometimes I am speaking a language you're not aware of. So instead of like giving you like making you feel embarrassed, I can use some other means to communicate. As I said, the communication is just to convey your ideas or your thoughts to the other person. Now, how well you convey through might be you can just show one picture and that the idea is communicated. Might be you do one gesture and the idea is communicated. And might be you just don't say, you just look and your looks communicate what you want to say. So, and then of course, seeking feedback. And a most important part is that if you're working with different groups, you do not understand something, I think we should seek for clarification, which we do not. We always tend to think of as a matter of prestige that, oh, I didn't understand what he said. If I ask the person again, oh my God, I am gone then. So I think we should not do that. You can always ask for clarification, or could you please just tell me what did you just say? Doesn't make any big difference.
Hmm, that's great. And what resources or practices do you suggest for continuous improvement in both communication skills and English language proficiency?
One of the most important I would endorse is the language learning apps, which are for the people who are like very busy in their jobs and workplaces. They can go for the learning apps. And then, of course, second comes the communication skill courses, of course, and which is very much important. Like I said, that feedback is important. So you can always enroll yourself for communication courses, which are being run by different organizations, different institutes, and which is, again, an important then thing is that sometimes there are cross-cultural training programs also. If you just Google them, you'll come across a lot that are going on in Pakistan, in Lahore, in many other cities as well. And again, self-reflecting on what you say, what you speak. If you record yourself and then you reflect upon what did you say, that's going to help you out in a better way.
Hmm. All right, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was wonderful having you here and learning from your experiences. But before we wrap up, is there anything you would like to share with our audience or any message you would like to leave them with?
Yes, I would always say that there are challenges. Yes, we are always there is always a room of improvement, and the challenges. The more you overcome the obstacles, the more you overcome the challenges, the better you are. If you take the example of gold, so the better the gold is being burnt into the fire, and then it turns out to be a very fine, refined form of gold. So I think that the process of learning, failing, and then learning back again is the process of refining your skills. So just don't be scared of that process. In fact, take it as a welcome point and just take the plunge to go through that refining process. And trust me, by the end of the day, you will feel a change in yourself. And let the change go on, because change is life. So let it go on.
Any message or any suggestion for me?
Yes, if you want to work on communications and like generally, I would say that one must read um, good books. And thank you, Kamran, for running such a good blog. And I really appreciate your concern because through your own medium, you are actually enlightening many other people who are sometimes, they're very shy to speak about that. Oh, we do not know how to speak in English. I was working in a very big corporate sector, but we do not know how to communicate well. Oh, I'm too much erotic in my writing. So again, I would thank you and I would really appreciate your efforts for bringing in these issues into the limelight. And through this medium, you're actually helping many people. So I must say that it's a thumbs up for you, and I would want you to continue doing that. And I'm always there for being whenever you need some, like we had a discussion about certain topics. I would welcome such topics, and we would definitely bring more into discussion of such topics. So thank you, Kamran, for doing this job for the other people who are looking up to you that now he's going to come up with another good thing. So all the best with all that you're doing.
Ms. Gulbano, thank you so much again. Thanks for your time. Have a blessed
Thank
day,
you,
man.
Kamran. Take care.
Take care. Allah
Thank
Hafiz.
you. Allah Hafiz.